Hello everyone and welcome to SITHKOP004, Development Menus for Special Dietary Requirements, Week 1. This week, by completing this week's activities, I'm hoping that you're going to evaluate your own understanding of special dietary requirements, being able to revise a little bit on what you did in Superior, be able to identify the special dietary requirements of your peers, and recognise the importance of having good understanding of special dietary requirements. This little mini lesson is just going to have a quick look at the unit's place in the industry and some of the activities, and then I'm going to talk about some summative knowledge assessments that I have prepared for you. Now, as you start this lesson, unit, what I want you to really think about, and the way I want you to approach it, is to create a context, and I'm going to keep referring to this a little bit. This unit is much easier to understand if you can think about how you're going to use it yourself whilst you're working in industry, or reflect on how you've used some of these skills that we're talking about over the next few weeks when you were working in industry on your workplace industry placement last semester. Now, everybody, I mean, it's fairly common these days that there's lots and lots of people out there who do need special dietary requirements. And I want you to start thinking about, do you yourself, or are you exposed to people who need special dietary considerations? And how do you treat those people, or how do you find yourself you are treated? These days, because there are so many people out there who do need special dietary requirements, it's a very important part of our industry, and it's also a growing one. Personally, from my own experiences, and here I'm just reflecting on some of my own experiences in industry, is when I was a chef, when I was, a head chef of a good fine dining restaurant, a lot of my colleagues and a lot of my peers used to scoff at vegetarians and vegans, and there are a lot of people out there who, and I'm not a vegetarian myself or a vegan, but there are a lot of people out there who choose not to eat meat and meat products. And there's no reason why they can't also enjoy a really good meal. And at the end of the day, they are a client that you can cater for. And I experienced this very much in one hand. One night I distinctly remember we had the guest in, and they wanted me to do a degustation for them. But they were a vegan, and the restaurant manager was like, why are we doing this? We shouldn't be doing this. And I said, well, why not? We should do it. This is good practice. It's exciting, and I like the challenge of it. So I put together, a little vegan degustation. It was only 5 or 6 courses, and the lady, there were 2 of them, and they both really, really enjoyed it, and they asked me to come out and talk to them, and I had a chat to them. And they were so happy that someone had taken the time to do it to them. And it wasn't a busy night, and it was no skin off my nose to do it. But what I didn't realise was that they were, well, one of them was, she was a blogger and YouTube vlogger who used to do had a lot of followers and a big sort of influencer about vegan eating, and she told all our followers about it, and all of a sudden we had a lot of new clients that wanted these vegan degustations, and we started doing a lot of them. We're doing 20 or 30 of them a week. And not only did it open up a whole new bunch of clientele to us, but on a really positive note, for a business, vegan food is not very expensive to produce. And so there is quite a lot of profit in it, and it reflected in my food costs greatly. So we need to make sure we keep a positive attitude about people with special dietary requirements. And yes, it can be challenging, but it can also be exciting. It's a way of going out there and looking at new food, new products, and thinking about the way people eat. And ignoring them can be detrimental to a business. I mean, you can't alienate clients these days, and it's important that you include everybody in a business. Not only that, is that exclusion can be detrimental to a business, but there's also a lot of legal responsibility as an owner, which is in today's readings, in this week's readings, about looking after people and being responsible about people with special dietary requirements, particularly around religious, faith-based diets and people who are on medical, health-based diets. There can legal action, very bad reputation, particularly in today's social media world. So I do want you to think about that this week, and try to remember, most importantly, that taking the time to create good menus can mean a lot for a lot of different people. Now, just going through this week's activities, so I've got a couple of readings for you to do. It's not long readings; it's just an introduction. One of them is the essential reading this week is definitely from the Le Cordon Bleu theory notes for this subject. Develop menus for special dietary requirements. Now, the other one is the theory notes for prepare food for special dietary requirements, which you would have done in superior cuisine and patisserie. And this is definitely a revision for you, as I discussed in one of the introduction videos. This is a real amalgamation of two different units, and it does require a lot of revision of the old units to make sure that you've got a thorough understanding of putting this together. So there's those two readings to do. In the discussion, I'd like you to introduce yourself. Now, this class is made up of, yes, a lot of people that you do know you've been studying with, but we also have some new students who've come in from the Sydney and Melbourne campuses who you don't know. And they're learning online with us. And I think it's important that you introduce yourself to start getting used to that online space. Now, when you introduce yourself, I want you to add a little bit of a list of maybe some foods that you do or don't eat for a diet. It might not be you, it might be someone else. And don't identify what that particular diet is, but just write a little bit of list of those foods. So, maybe it's for me, for instance, if some of you do know me well enough, that I can't eat shellfish, I can't eat crabs, I can't eat lobsters, I can't eat prawns, I can't eat yabbies. So if you were to have a look at what I can't eat, then maybe you could identify what type of an allergy I have, and the sort of food that I can't eat. So go around and look at some other people's introductions and try to identify what some of their eating regimes may be. Maybe they need to have a gluten-free diet, a low-salt diet, low-fat diet, or, as I said for myself, I have a crustacean allergy, a shellfish allergy, which I need to avoid. Now, I've prepared a little quiz for you as well. It will be on the Quizzes platform, which a lot of you have a lot of familiarity with learning with me in the past. But I will leave a login. There's a web address which I'll hyperlink, and there'll be a code for you to enter. Now, that quiz is going to be available for the next 4 weeks. You can go back to it and revise it again. But it's just as a little bit of a reminder of the sort of content we went through in Prepare Food for Special Dietary Requirements in Superior Cuisine in your Cert 3 Commercial Cookery. And it's for you to be able to just ascertain, be able to, look at your own learning and what you remember. Right? And there's obviously a little bit more revision you could do in that subject as well. And the theory notes are available for you. So I hope you do remember a little bit of what we used to do, because what we did in Special Dietary Requirements, because there is quite a lot of knowledge that you'll need to use again. I said there is the quiz. Now, if you are going to start on Assessment Task 1 already and start writing some menus, there's just some key points I want to go through to get, again, you need to make sure that these are nice, modern, contemporary dishes. We need to make sure you're using correct terminology. We need to make sure each menu has the correct food for them. And that, most importantly, that each dish is written in an attractive and appealing way and that they have their main accompaniment, the main item, an accompaniment, and appropriate sauce for the entrees. All main courses include a carbohydrate, a vegetable, and appropriate sauce, and all desserts must include 3 components: the main item, the accompaniment, and an appropriate sauce, so that we have complete dishes. Alright, so we've had a little look at this unit's place in history, this week's activity, and obviously there's that summative knowledge assessment there for you as well, to get a little bit of your understanding. As always, if you have any questions, please leave them in the discussion area, or you can email me privately as well. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next week at the webinar and at the video. We don't have a webinar this week. It's just about introducing yourselves and to familiarizing yourself with the unit. Thank you very much.